Warning, the Spoilercast does contain spoilers of current and past movies, books, video, games, TV shows, and possibly your life. So if you're listening to a show called Spoilercast and you're pissed off that we gave away spoilers, we really don't care. Thanks again and have a wonderful day.
Oh, welcome to
Motherfucking
Spoilercast by All Tower Media. That was Jareth piping in at the last possible second. How are you,
First
Jareth?
possible second?
Yeah, the first moment you could. How are you?
Blech.
Nothing? You got nothing
you.
after that nonsense?
That was all my energy.
Yeah,
I will try no harder.
He
That
is-
was like a chick walking into a crowded theater being, I'm here to suck every dick I can, and then just walking back out.
Well, they get one done.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, he did one thing.
Like halvesies.
Halvesy. Yeah, he's like, all right, well, that's what I got.
That was like just a small lick under the tip.
I'm spent. I'm spent. Hey, Ledge. Welcome
buddy.
back. How are you?
Doing good,
Yeah?
I suppose.
You suppose?
I suppose.
Well, you're not out in the hot and in the heat and tearing stuff down.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'm just, like, really wishing that I would have completed my nap earlier, which well, I'll get more into that here.
Okay. Well, hey, Jesse.
Well, hi there, guys.
It's a lot of fun having you face to face. It's wonderful having you in the Let's Plays because the commentary that I got. The commentary that I got with you playing when we were doing the Overwatch series was awesome because everybody was like,
a little rowdy.
Everybody was like, "Oh my god, he's like really good at this." I really like the moment when you were like, "Sometimes I Reinhardt."
You know, this season I've been playing competitive Reinhardt, and I have to rein myself in.
Yeah.
I really just want to.
You crushed an
balls
entire
deep.
team.
Oh,
you crushed an entire team in like 10 seconds. You're like, forget this, I'm switching characters, and then you switch to Reinhardt, and then you wipe out the entire team.
You know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
You got 3 of them on a single rush. You're like, well, bam! And then you crushed one. Then you turn around and you threw thunder across the room and killed the last guy that was nowhere
the
near
Hanzo.
you. Yeah.
The goddamn Hanzo. This is why you don't play Hanzo, kids. There's one well-placed flame strike.
And you're like,
your
you're
soul.
done. You're done. And that was the end of the game, too.
Yeah, no, that was it.
The last clip.
I'm not going to lose this shit. I'll take you along with
You know what?
me.
So, okay, well, I don't do sports. Have you watched the commercial with it's the Powerade or Gatorade commercial where the guy's like, no overtime, and he like makes the basket and he like walks away from it? Have you seen that commercial?
To give you an idea of my my sportsness, Ledge and I were just having a conversation about sports ball while
Sports ball, yes,
while the players were talking about spaceships or some shit that they don't know anything about. I don't fucking know. No, I don't actually do broadcast television or sports really.
Yeah. All I know is that they've got that commercial, but that's how I am equating you. Because he steps up and he's like, swish, and he throws the ball, and this, like I said, is a Powerade commercial. I want to say,
right.
He throws the ball, and he's like walking away, and he's like done. And he's like taking a drink from it and whatever. But that's essentially what you did, but with Overwatch.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Yeah. Like,
So, Transformers.
yeah, no, we're getting
Speaking
to
of
it.
Speaking of explosions, right,
the Michael Bay film, which
Spoiler alert,
everyone in their
it's not that good.
Throw it.
Hey,
Throw it.
no, listen, I put the spoiler there ironically because everybody already knew that was a thing.
I know.
That'd be like, spoiler alert,
But
it's
also-
got Transformers in it.
But also,
Spoiler
this is
alert, it's
Spoilercast.
all
There are
CGI.
no need for spoiler alerts. So if you're not
Spoiler
aware,
alert, Roper's a dick.
yeah. Spoiler alert,
didn't
Jared's an
already
asshole. So
That actually happened in the very beginning. It's
Yeah.
not a spoiler.
that's true. So
That happens in the opening crawl.
that's true. So you and I went and saw this movie.
Yep.
It was and then you two went and saw this movie today
fucking painful.
before you came here.
Oh my
That's accurate.
I'm
So-
still sore.
All right, let's do this. All right, so Jareth and Ledge, Jesse, how relevant do you feel the little girl at the beginning of the movie was?
Like exactly zero relevant.
I feel like, okay, so when we had this conversation sort of afterwards, it's like when someone releases a radio single, you know, like you're like, okay, this is the radio single. That movie was like they took every radio single and were like, let's put them all together and make it into a feature-length film. Right. And so that little girl is basically like, hey, we got to get the 6 to 11-year-old vote. Right. So let's get some middle school kids. Let's put them in this movie. We'll go ahead and throw in another awkward romance with characters that don't exist.
Right. Now, so whenever I'm watching it, I felt like from the introduction of the kids breaking into the area and then the introduction of her all the way to the bombing of Canopy, I was like, none of that was relevant. No. You could have cropped out every bit of that and you would have been just fine.
I would extend that straight up to Mark Wahlberg finding the ship.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, fine. So you go straight to the part where, you start the movie off with Mark Wahlberg breaking into an area that he's not supposed to be at because the spaceship crashes and he gets the thing and then he gets run out of there and then he gets back home.
And we already put 15 extra minutes
and then
that we could spend doing other things.
Curious. I mean, I watched the first Transformers. I may have watched the second one. Obviously, it was forgettable. I didn't watch any more than that. I'm assuming these knights are a new thing.
They're a new thing. Yeah.
Okay, right. So they just show up.
I've been watching. Okay. I've watched all of them so far. Regrettably, I watched the Age of Extinction. Way after the fact, though. It's like it came out, and I'm like, no. And then, like, way later, I'm like, well, I have it. I might as well watch it.
I still haven't watched that one yet.
And so I watched it. But so I watched the first one, and then I watched Revenge of the Fallen, and then, like I said, way later, I watched Age of Extinction, and now we're around to the last night. I'm not missing any of them, am I?
No,
I think so.
Maybe.
So, but yeah, the Knights,
the Dark Side of the Moon or whatever.
Oh yeah, that wasn't
Dark of the Moon.
That's Dark of the Moon. Yeah,
these movies are so forgettable.
They're throwaways. They're all throwaways. Yeah. And apparently,
and yet they make more money than like any movie ever.
Well, yeah,
it's the lens flare. It has to be the lens flare.
Well, no, it's OreoBot.
It's
OreoBot. You don't know who OreoBot is?
I know.
Jareth, tell them about OreoBot.
Okay, in the last movie, there was a robot that they made, a transformer, using, oh god, what was the object? I can't remember. But they made a transformer out of an Oreo cookie vending machine.
Here's a there's a picture right here.
They also made a robot out of a tiny transformer out of some Beats by Dre headphones.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, see? That's OreoBot, yo. This is actually in the movie. Age of Extinction. That's OreoBot, man. Yeah. So, in the first movie, we're introduced to the Spark.
The Allspark.
The Allspark. And they get the Nokia cell phone.
Right.
Made by the Japanese, according to that one dude.
And they're mean. There's the little gadgets. Don't they say something like the little gadgets are mean?
They're always mean.
Right.
Which they've stuck to that. And Jareth, you kind of had an epiphanous moment about them the other day. About the little ones?
Yeah, I think all of the little ones are crazy killbots.
That's basically all they are.
And that seems what they all are. I mean, he had that...
Like, they're like bugs. They're just bugs.
Yeah. So they just have the kill instinct. There's nothing
they're effectively... they're bugs. That's exactly
he's got the one little, urban demographic robot that,
Well, yeah, but he's slightly larger.
Yeah, he's one of the largest.
Okay.
He's not a cell phone
but he's wasn't there a laptop one in the first or second movie
which was
that was like trying to
just
stab people in the temples or something?
The urban bot.
I don't know.
I don't know how to. Say that
this is the thing is that, and before we talk about this movie anymore, I just have to throw this out there: is that they literally took every trope, every single trope you could find, and put them all in this movie.
Oh yeah!
And not only is every single trope there, they picked like the most offensive, worst possible demonstration, like
stereotypes.
There is a moment. There is a moment in the film where they use a Deus Ex Machina in order to segue into a cliche.
And I brought this up immediately following the movie. As soon as we walked out, we were walking up to my truck. I was like, Wait, did they straight up do one of these Deus Ex Machina moments?
Because
and then
for
go
the entire
straight
film,
into this thing? And
they express that Bumblebee can't speak, right?
Right.
They make a point of it.
Yes.
they even pull the little voice box thing, and then they put the new one in, and he's like, "It's not my voice," and he like yanks at it, right?
Right. He pulls it out.
And then they never do anything with it again.
Absolutely.
Right? And then
Am I coming through?
Yeah, you're coming
yeah.
through.
Okay.
And then towards the end of the movie, whenever he's fighting with Optimus Prime,
He can speak.
all of a sudden he's just like, "Raw!"
He does say something.
And it's his voice, and that's what like wakes Prime up, and he's
So
like,
they Deus Ex Machina into the "I know you're still in there" trope.
Right,
Yeah.
but at least I kind of wondered, and I was kind of like, okay, so here's the Bumblebee voice,
but then he goes right back to talking as a radio again.
right? Which makes me wonder. And then this is one of those things that, like, if this is the case, then let's go ahead and start with the weird ass theories now. Did he have a recording of some intimate moment between him and Optimus, where it was like, hey, I'm gonna save this for later?
If he had recordings of his own voice, why not use those?
Yeah.
And it's not.
So you're saying like DJ
the thing
style?
is, though, is that he's not using recordings.
Right.
He's using radio waves in the air.
Right. Which apparently it's weird because, like you were saying, Jareth, all of these things that he's saying would have to be playing at that point in time in some element.
Also, he regularly uses movie quotes as well.
Not just
Think
radio.
of how many people are watching HBO at any given moment.
Yeah, maybe.
And I mean, I guess maybe if it's like, see, and this is one of those things, like they abuse technology so hard, and so like maybe if you're like, he can access every single radio wave and descramble the transmission, take the audio, and choose which part he wants at any given moment.
And yet
But
he
you're
can't
like,
repair his goddamn voice box.
right, but he can't find a fucking way to modulate his voice in a way that he likes.
Have you watched the movie Up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you know the dog,
The squirrel.
the dog that has the voice thing, and then it
Right.
goes really high pitched, and then they like just have to like dial it. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if you have a working voice box, why can't you just modify the one you
Yeah,
have?
you're an automated sentient machine that turns into a fucking Camaro.
Let me
Like,
just.
you
The
should be
power
able to
of the
wing
Allspark
it.
in the staff can make a random piece of metal. And I don't know what the hell they did in the other fucking movies. They might have been like, hey, rules are non-existent. We do whatever we want. And it seems like that's probable given the movie that we saw.
Well, effectively, they're using the spark and things of the spark constantly. They were using Megatron's spark to create like Oreobot and things of that nature,
Oh, right,
and everything
right.
started just
But-
becoming more Megatrons.
Everything, to my understanding at least, everything up to this point has been, it was like a machine beforehand, right? Like it wasn't like they were like, hey, here's a floor tile. We're going to turn this floor tile into a robot, right?
They're granting sentience to machines. Yes.
Okay. And this one, they had the pendant. It was a piece of pressed metal.
Well, it
That
seemed
that we're
like
aware
a
of.
piece of pressed metal.
that we're
But-
aware of.
Well, because when they show the whole sequence with Merlin
Right.
and him being a lush and riding on the cliff and
Right.
whatever the hell other tropey crap they want to throw
Right.
in there.
Well, it's your classic.
When he saves the day,
Yeah.
okay, they specifically zoom in and show the armors on the King Arthur and all of the other knights,
They all have this glowy.
and they do the little,
Yeah.
okay. And at that moment, it's like, well, so are you telling me that, like, Merlin, robbed the fucking ship beforehand and gave these guys, like, magic armor? Or
Maybe.
is it the power of the staff now? Because, obviously, the staff can just do
whatever the
whatever
fuck the staff wants.
fuck it wants. Yeah.
So one thing that Jareth and I were noticing
Was a lot of things.
well, yeah, there were a bunch of things.
All of them bad.
Mainly. So Optimus Prime leaves the planet Earth in the last movie to
go on a vision quest.
He goes basically on a spirit quest where he's trying to find his maker, and so
and slap him upside the head.
It doesn't
into
do
the
well.
desert he roams.
Well, he
All right.
takes off and he starts flying along, and then he freezes, and then he's drifting through space. And apparently, Cybertron is a lot closer to Earth than we're
It
given
would
credit
seem
for.
that it's an exoplanet just outside of our solar system.
Not even, honestly.
I mean, it would have to be. Well, first off, you don't know how fast Optimus Prime is traveling.
They show his descent into the planet, and I mean, barring collision in space, there's not molecules of air to slow you down.
True.
So, I mean, literally any acceleration in space. That's why we have things like weird little particle engines, because you can essentially shoot the weight of a particle out the back of you, and over time, over a long period of time, eventually acceleration builds up and you go really fast. Cool. We see Optimus coming into the planet, and he's just sort of fucking floating along,
all willy-nilly.
you know, like, and again, like I don't know, like maybe we're like viewing slow motion.
Perhaps. Maybe
The other option
Cybertron is
that the
doing
ship,
something.
Yeah, that the Cybertron is slowing him down.
Right. Tractor beam? Like,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a giant robot planet.
Well,
True.
if
Right.
it does have an atmosphere, then he would be being slowed by that.
I mean...
Or it's also possible that the planet was in motion more than he was.
Okay, but they say this
I think
is
your
very
chair.
specific.
Hold on. I think your chair is moaning.
Is that mine?
Every time you're pivoting, I think it's moaning.
Oh, I didn't realize that was me.
I think your chair is moaning. Go
My
ahead.
bad.
This guy. Am I doing it too? I think
They
I'm
say
doing it
that
too.
the planet's moving at like 1/10 light speed or whatever later.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yeah, that Cybertron is 1/10 of light speed.
But that doesn't mean it was moving at that speed when it
Well,
caught
why would
Optimus
it be?
Prime.
It wasn't headed toward Earth yet. There was no. The staff is here. There wasn't any like she.
Well,
hadn't
she
sent-
knew
She
beforehand.
already knew
Yeah.
that because as soon as he gets there, she's like, "We're totally
Yeah,
going
we're sending
to
you
Earth."
back,
Right,
and
but
we're
it
going
was
back.
she was waiting for him.
She didn't know he was
or
coming.
was she like headed toward Earth to begin with?
Would
I
have
don't
to have
know.
been.
Is
What
that
we're
the
saying
case?
is there's a couple hundred stupid reasons, but they all exist.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very bad reasons for this
So-
very bad movie.
So this planet is in our blind spot, and
Right.
So it's probably
sneaks up
just
on us.
outside
Been
of
behind
our
star.
atmosphere.
They do specifically say that it was behind our star.
It
and
hit
that's
its
why.
approach behind our star.
Yes.
Right. Well, but
Not
we,
that it
how long
existed
is,
there.
How long is right? Not that it lived there all of its fucking
Yeah.
life, but it hit its approach. Well, so we don't know how long its approach is and how long it's been hiding.
Well,
behind
at
the
1/10
sun,
light
I guess.
speed, pretty fucking fast.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, 1/10 light speed is pretty
Faster than you can walk.
quick. Which brings me to my next point of I don't understand why they kept saying it's a dead planet. Like, where is all
They don't
this
have anything.
energy
You don't have
coming
any. You
from?
don't have
How-
any proof of saying that. Don't say it's a dead planet. You don't know.
They said it was a dead planet.
But they don't know that. They shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Well,
just
it's
throw that out
obviously
there.
not fucking dead if they're flying it through space.
Exactly.
That's all I'm
Okay, exactly.
Okay.
If flying it through space is the only qualifier for it being a living or dead planet, then every planet out there is dead.
No, because this is the difference. Like, they are actively piloting the planet through space. There is a difference between gravitational rotation, okay? There is a difference between a fucking orbit
It's the Death Star.
and them
They've got-
flying it through space.
They've got
they
a-
they are choosing a path, mindfully choosing a path
Yeah.
to be behind a star, mind you.
Yeah.
And flying it through space.
But our scientists are calling it a dead planet.
Well, they call it a dead planet. He says my planet is dead. The only way that I can make my planet live again is to kill this one. She
Yeah.
fucking says it too. Like, they fucking all say it's a dead planet.
Them robots don't science too good,
No,
do
they don't. They don't. So, I was doing some reading on Transformers, and I feel awful that I did some reading on Transformers. But anyway, I did some reading on Transformers, and they have protoforms, as I was discussing with you.
Yeah, it's their gooey bot.
They have they're
So is that the silver guys then? Because they were kind of more the guys who there was like at the end of the movie, Optimus Prime slices all their heads off, and the one glorious look at me, I'm a tornado with a blade
Yeah.
thing.
No, those are combiners.
yes.
Oh, okay. So they're
Parts of
different
Unicron.
classifications.
They're actually in the very first movie. You briefly are exposed to them.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
So
Whenever the Transformers first show up, they're kind of like weird looking and sleek.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Hey, look, a Escalade. I'm an Escalade."
Right,
now."
and I get,
Yeah.
I mean, I get that they do that whole Transformers thing of like, ooh, that's sexy.
Those are
kinda weird.
those are the protoforms. It's their pre-transformer form.
Yeah, before they find something to mimic on whatever planet that they've landed on to try to
So,
copy.
I was looking up the life cycle of Transformers, and they don't have an adolescence. They have no no juvenile stage. There's no child version of them.
Fully mature.
Yeah, you're born fully mature, and what happens is you you're there, and then you find something you can transform into, and then that's just kind of you, right?
Yeah, and then you do that thing.
And then you do that thing from here on out, and then you can like scan other stuff, and then like recamouflage yourself as something else.
And that's questionable too.
Right, right. Okay, so, but part of that, while I was reading it, I was like, yeah, this kind of makes more sense why Transformers don't give a crap about human children, because they have no recognition,
or specifically human children being in dangerous situations.
Yeah, very dangerous, because they're like they have no concept of that
of children.
There's like, this is a human.
Yeah, you're a human.
Right.
You're a human, no different than this baby version of a human.
Just because he's a smaller human.
Also, yeah, but mini-cons are smaller Transformers, but are also fully mature.
And they're fully lethal.
And we're considering them all to be AIs, right? Is that what we're...
I don't know if they would be... They're not artificial intelligence. They're just intelligence.
Yeah.
They're just a personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are synthetic beings, but they are not artificially intelligent.
So then, Mike, I guess I'm leading in a direction here. So are they able to make? And I feel like they talk about this sort of throughout the movies, where they can make recalibrations of decisions based on adjustments to things that they've learned. Yeah, they can learn things.
They can learn, yes.
Okay.
Well, that's why you run into
the same way you can.
No, yeah, that's why. Okay, that's why you run into like that one, the smaller one, the black guy that's in the shop. He's arguing with it, and he's like, "I will straight up." Human beings will straight up punch you and argue. Yeah. He's been in the last couple of movies, and he's just mouthy, right?
Right.
He seems to be of lower intelligence than, let's say, Bumblebee.
Right.
They have varying ranges of intelligence.
Has been around for.
Surprise, apparently, because he's been around since at least World War II, yo.
Right. since that Hitler killing business.
Yeah. So anyway, we're leading someplace on this.
So, where I'm leading with this is that if they're an intelligence and they've existed for so long, obviously we as humans are some sort of intelligence, and we've existed for a fairly short period of time.
By comparison, yes.
Right, by comparison, and our technological level is way lower. Okay?
Right.
And we're starting to figure out AI and the understanding of the brain and how we learn and how we develop.
Okay.
So, and this is where the reason I got to this is that our child stage is really important in developing intelligence and even in our understanding of how to develop an artificial intelligence. Learning that idea of how to learn is really important.
Right. Well, they're constantly going off on Bumblebee. All of them are constantly going off on Bumblebee about when he's going to grow up.
Yeah.
So the concept of gaining intelligence and learning is not lost on them. They just lack the... So it's like with an animal, right? Animals get born, and then they're derpy for like 20 seconds, and then they can go do stuff.
And then they're horse now. Yeah,
but a human baby is a fucking idiot
It's
for like 7 years.
Derpy to like 40 years or more.
And during that time, they are nothing but an absolute hindrance to everything around them.
Wrong answer.
You don't think so?
Wrong answer.
A baby
Fucking
actively calls out predators.
First, let me... Are you a farmer? I mean...
I grew up on a farm, yes.
Okay, you've grown up on a farm.
Yes.
Okay, you've been around animals
Yes.
since they've been born.
Yes.
Animals, while granted, I will give you that a lot of animals have a lot more survival drive than humans do. I.e., a horse gets born, the mom fucking kicks it a couple times, it stands up and goes to pasture. Like,
Kinda.
But animals learn things.
Right.
All animals, even as they're born, and horses and cows, I've seen them do it, where they get spooked by shit. And for the rest of their life, that one specific fucking animal is weary of a red fence or some dumb thing. Okay? And granted, while that's a deficient learning, that is still a learning thing.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that the cycle is so small that essentially the juvenile period that an animal would experience is non-existent. So there is no...
By comparison to human beings.
Yeah.
Because human beings, we were born, we have effectively no defensive measures of our own.
In fact, we are the opposite of defensive for a while.
It depends on the animal that you're looking at and what kind of a time span you're talking about and what lifespan you're talking about.
Well,
I mean,
I'm extending that to the Transformers.
Or an elephant. Let's go with an elephant since they're not apes. Elephants live in herds They're a matriarchal society. They learn from their mothers. You can see, specific behaviors in different pods. They have specific places that they go. Baby elephants stay with their mothers, males included.
Right, they stay with them, but they're still
long time.
They're still, once they're born, and I think it's kind of what he's saying. Once they're born, they'll flop around for a little bit. Eventually, they get their legs underneath them, and they're not moving around.
Right.
They feed from their mother. They do stay with their mother, but they're not actually, short of them needing to be the larger of the two, they're not much of a hindrance.
The elephant mom doesn't have to put the elephant baby in a stroller and push it around whenever she wants to go elephant shopping.
Human beings don't necessarily have to do that. There were a long time where we didn't necessarily have that. But as far as Transformers go, they don't have that. Well, they don't have a stage of that nature.
And I understand.
Whenever they're created, because apparently from what I was reading, there are two ways that this happens. Either they are crafted and granted sentience through the means of the spark,
right, or
they're one of these protoforms, which are also crafted, but then you wake up with a personality, and then you start kind of happening.
You just exist one day.
So you are suddenly there, and so you
whenever
don't
the spark
lose out.
imbues life into them, it's not just imbuing life; it's imbuing a full sentience.
Right. So you bypass that juvenile stage where you're having to, you're aware of things, you can defend yourself, you can transform, you can communicate, you can do all of these things, but you still have a process that you have to undergo where you are learning things.
And God damn you for making us defend this.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just, because, and I this is the problem, is I like to...
I know, I do the same thing. I do the same things.
So does it go well?
One of the other things,
I don't want to have to fight for Michael Bay. This isn't the hill I want to die on.
First off, we're not fighting for Michael Bay. We're arguing for the point of Transformers, and that's not necessarily just been Michael Bay this whole time. So
he's their general
right now.
The Transformers were dreamed up by someone high on cocaine in the 1980s.
Probably so. So one of the other things that I was reading was it distinguishes the difference between Optimus Prime and the others, right?
Example,
he's larger.
He's like way the fuck bigger than
insanely
everyone else.
larger than the rest of the Transformers.
But so is Megatron.
And still smaller than Megatron.
And
by a decent amount.
So what about the giant, proto-Transformers that are like the huge fucking... construction equipment?
Those are, again, combiners.
Yeah.
Okay,
they're multiple robots that are combining
so
together.
They're tiny, and
now,
so size kind of differentiates.
I actually want to talk about those for just a split second. So there comes a point in this movie with, and I was asking, the reason I was looking up their life cycle was I was curious on whether or not they could grow. That's what I was actually curious
to
see if Optimus Prime was bigger because he's older.
Oh, well, I want to know that. Like human beings, we start off little and we get progressively bigger, right? I kind of like you have. All right, I'm gonna say it. We got Unicron, which is a planet,
right?
Yes,
our planet,
right?
Unfortunately, in this one, yes,
yeah, in this one, and then you've also got, Cybertron, which was a planet. I don't think it was ever actually a transformer. It was just a planet of robots.
Unicron is also not a transformer, but it is a robotic planet.
It is a robotic. We are a robotic planet. Anyway, so in this anyway. So what I want to know is
Unicron just the head of a...
No.
Is there sentience? Do they have sentience?
Unicron in the old school stuff, all of the
was
source
voiced
material.
by Orson Welles.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
and also, yes, Unicron could transform because it turned into a giant winged monster.
Yes, and it was super evil.
And so it had sentience then. If it could
Yes.
transform, it was sentient.
Absolutely.
Right. So, anyhow.
It was like a transformer god.
The question...
like an evil god.
Yeah, it's evil, and its opposition was Primus.
Evil.
Anyhow, so the question that I had was if a transformer could integrate new parts and grow, and we kind of see that with Squeaks, the little scooter. Yep. She adds on a new arm.
He takes the arm.
And so, and like in my head, I'm sitting here going, could Squeaks, the little scooter, progressively gain new, larger parts and then become a bigger
Bumblebee size?
And wasn't that arm one of the proto arms?
No, it was
just a random
Decepticon arm. A randomly blown off Decepticon arm
that happened to be shiny and smooth and silver.
Yeah.
Probably belonged to like a
Disappointing.
a shiny gray Kia Soul.
Right.
But I think it's also important to note that throughout the film, he never really used the arm effectively.
Until the very end.
Well, he made it do something, but it was still a very cumbersome object for him.
Yeah. But
because he's always dragging it behind him, and he doesn't really use it very often.
But what I wanted to know was if you have something smaller like that, if they themselves wanted to, if they could integrate new parts to themselves and progressively make themselves larger.
Well, it would make sense that they could.
You think so?
In a weird way.
See, because Jareth pointed out the combiners. You want to talk about what you were saying the other day with the one that links in?
Yeah, so I was visiting my family. My little brother's very little, and he watches Transformer shows. And in the show, there is a combiner who is a bad guy, and they remove his arm, which is itself a robot. Each part of him is itself a transformer.
Yeah.
Well, he loses his arm, so he grabs...
like Voltron.
I was going to say, evil Voltron.
He grabs a Minicon that's nearby, who is a good guy, and just sticks him on him. Just puts him in the arm slot. So the Minicon is still conscious...
It can still talk.
And still speak on his own will, but he has to act as the arm. So the consensus that is the combiner has physical control over everything that isn't his thoughts or his words.
So my very first question is this robot rape? Is that like Transformers? Because that's some serious violation right there.
Right?
I mean it is
You're
some
my arm
serious
now.
violation, but I don't know that rape is effective since
he's taking control of his physical body. The guy is still sentient. He can still stalk. He can still say, no, please don't do this.
I would argue it's more slavery than rape, since there is no sexual component. For either of them, as they are an asexual species.
Things are going downhill fast. We
Right?
Start arguing about what
Right?
race is. So,
I just think we need to just really get back to the point that this movie's a fucking dumpster
it's so
fire.
bad.
So
This is
back
bad.
Back to the movie itself. Well, we've been off on this.
Why was Mark Wahlberg the knight? The knight did nothing.
That's exactly where I was
The
going.
knight wasn't special. The medallion turned into a sword once.
Yep.
That never did anything.
Nope.
Right.
How did he block that sword with that sword?
Now here's the deal.
Magic fucking fairy liquid.
Now, right. So here's the deal. And they kind of point this out in the movie itself, where it wasn't necessarily looking for him.
It was just looking for somebody
that met
but
the requirements.
It did nothing.
It did nothing. It was nothing more than
it wasn't
a
like,
title.
we need this medallion and the guy carrying it to get to the staff.
Right.
They were just like, no, we're going to send you with the chick that looked kind of like Megan Fox,
But
but
not Megan
isn't.
Fox.
That isn't Megan Fox.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Budget
But
Megan
it didn't
Fox.
do anything.
To be honest, I would have picked the English woman over Megan Fox.
Agreed.
Well, I'm not
She was a
arguing
very
that.
good-looking
My
lady.
point is if you're trying to distance yourself from the fact that Megan Fox used to be your female lead role,
Right.
don't choose somebody who is in the same classification.
And I absolutely agree with you on that point. I just... He said budget Megan Fox, and I'm saying that I would pay more for this woman.
Yeah, I was actually going to argue the same point.
I'm just
totally
saying
where
as
I
far
was
as
at.
what it probably actually costed to get that actress.
Yeah.
Except for that, I don't
considering
think Megan
budget.
Fox really has a career anymore.
Maybe she's not.
Well,
worth it.
not
I
more,
don't know.
but when she was in Transformers, that was like the peak of
Like,
her shit right there. Like,
How
it was-
bad does a movie have to be that you start arguing about the worth of Megan Fox's acting career?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a good question. It's a good question. So,
Also, this movie has made me lose some respect for Anthony Hopkins.
oh my god,
I was saying the same
Dude.
exact thing. Like, you can't just have Anthony Hopkins yelling curse words, telling people
Okay,
to get
no,
out,
no,
and
no, whoa, whoa,
attempting
whoa, whoa.
to kind of be funny.
Time out. Okay, as soon as I saw this, I immediately thought of Logan. Because they did kind of the same thing. Well, hold on. So they did kind of the same thing with Patrick Stewart, right? But that was done so well, right? That was done so well, and everything that was with that was just beautiful. Then you get here to this, and you're just like, what are you doing, dude?
Well, also, they made him so erratic
Right.
and like odd.
In a weird way, that follows along with the whole sort of theme of the movie, and that
Which is shit.
It was not coherent.
Yeah.
Nothing was coherent. Like
They spent so long just vomiting exposition at us for stuff that was irrelevant.
Well, and like it was like
Anthony
a long
Hopkins
commercial.
could have just been like,
I mean-
"Hey, you with the thing. I need you to guard her while she goes and gets the staff and prevents the world from being eaten."
Now wait,
No
Even
King
that,
Arthur.
No, wait.
So no, because we
Yeah,
started.
you could have
we started,
bar- yeah, you could have
we
bar- you
started
could
with the
bypass
knight
that.
didn't do anything, right?
Yep.
And the weird part is at least in the movie, what they were like, well, the knight is the key. The pendant is the key to getting the ship, and the ship is the fucking syringe that's going to suck the butthole of Earth to...
Yeah.
But, so here it is, here's supposedly this sentient ship that opens up for the knight, and then, like, in submersible vehicles that only, like, their top speed is 3 miles an hour, which, God, they're like, drive it faster! And I'm like, they only go 3 miles an hour. They cruise in through the inverted nipple on the outside of the ship and end up right where they were, so what the hell did you need the key for? And then the ship is sentient, it's opening up walls so that the knight can, escort Girl Merlin.
All about the ship.
Girl Merlin.
Right, Girl Merlin to the new Merlin
But
staff.
it didn't stop.
But it didn't stop
It didn't
them.
stop the other guys.
Yeah, so like...
It didn't stop the other soldiers following them
So
in.
what the hell did you need the key for in the first place? You could have just snuck on in.
Also, another thing, Optimus Prime says like 20 things in this whole movie.
And half of them, well, more than half of
like
them.
18
were
of the
reused?
20 things
No, half
were
of them.
I am Optimus Prime.
I am Optimus
One of the
Prime,
things was I am Nemesis Prime.
I am
and then one
Nemesis
of those
Prime.
things was some other thing that I don't give a fuck
right.
about.
Thing that I don't.
Autobots charge.
Amazing inspirational
Why does
speech.
every 2 sentences that he says have to include his fucking name?
Because I am Optimus Prime. I have limited memory.
Wait.
I cannot rebuild myself. I'm from a time when memory cost much more than it does now.
Time out. I am Optimus Batman.
I am Batman Prime.
I am Batman Prime. I like that
Batman
better.
Prime sounds like a scary beast. That's what that sounds
Dude,
like.
have you seen that Marvel is doing the Hulk Verine in
Uh,
the comics right now? Like that's what's going to happen. Straight
Nice.
up Hulk Wolverine.
nice. So with this,
Back to-
Anthony,
Wait, would that
movie.
just be the Hulk with claws? Because healing factor's irrelevant to him.
Pretty much, yeah, but that's still really badass.
I mean, yeah.
Considering he
maybe
can
if
tear me
Hulk
apart with
with-
his fingers,
Maybe it's
claws
Hulk
are
with
irrelevant.
adamantium skeleton.
Maybe, but that
But
wouldn't
that's
do you any
also
good.
irrelevant.
Yeah, it wouldn't do any
He's
good.
indestructible.
Yeah.
Besides the
Maybe he
Bullets
has badass
literally
hair.
He
bounce
is
off of
more
him.
indestructible than adamantium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So-
just badass hair and a penchant for cigars.
There you go.
But
Wait,
And he calls-
Hulk in yellow spandex.
And he- and-
that would be Ed Sideburns.
And he calls everybody Bub.
Bub.
So with
Bub smash.
Hulk-sized cigar.
Bub Smash. Bub Smash. Okay, speaking of cigars,
Uh-huh.
the giant
Dan the drywall man.
Dan the
Transformer.
drywall man transformer constantly walking around with a cigar. What? And he throws one away and he gets
He gets
another,
another one at some point.
Yeah.
Where is he getting these giant things?
I love the look on your face right now because you're like, wait, I didn't know. Damn it.
Yeah, that was definitely a thing. Well, being that
Does he
all grumpy
transform
fans
them?
Here, slept through about half the movie.
Did you?
It was not quite half, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier.
You took a
when I was
nap?
coming
Okay,
back.
I get it. Okay, so you
I,
were
at,
taking a
at
nap.
one
I
point,
went
I
there-
literally had to elbow him and go, "Stop snoring."
Yeah. Okay. So let me preface this whole thing by I have never fallen asleep in a movie theater in my life.
Okay, time out. What theater did you go to?
Springfield 11.
Nice, okay.
But regardless, I've never fallen asleep in a movie theater in my life. Like every movie that I've seen has at least been enough to hold my attention. I probably watched the first 30 minutes, fell asleep for probably 20 minutes, and then woke
Ouch.
back up, and then fell back asleep. And
You
then woke
missed
back
mostly like nothing.
Yeah, you missed nothing.
Well,
Well, and I
and that's
know,
the thing,
and
like-
I was just as confused before I fell asleep as I was after I woke up.
last
and had
movie
skipped
was
30
so
minutes.
incoherent that it didn't even.
it didn't matter, yeah.
The last 20 minutes is the only point of the movie you need to have
That
seen.
even matters.
Yeah.
At all.
Partially,
And you
yeah.
saw that, yeah.
Clearly,
Yeah.
there is a
Okay.
planet that is eating our planet.
Yep.
We want that to not happen.
Yeah, that's not.
I mean,
We have a MacGuffin. They have a MacGuffin, rather. that we want to. That is the key to the planet eating.
Yep.
Optimus Prime is here.
Yep.
Because that whole resolution of him being evil. Fuck that.
It took, 10 minutes for that to get cleared up?
Yep.
He was only in the movie for the last half, and then for the first 5 minutes he's there. There's I'm bad.
Now, here's the deal.
Nemesis Prime.
Nemesis Prime. Now, here's the deal. So, with this movie, we have... Well, actually, we see less of the Transformers in this movie than we have basically in all the
Also,
others.
fuck the Suicide Squad thing at the beginning.
Right?
With fucking Megatron. Where he's like, I want my crew out.
Yeah, that whole thing was stupid.
Yeah, that
I
was
was
straight
wondering
up.
what the hell that was
That
about.
was nothing.
And
It
then,
was
most
nothing
of
but-
those guys
They
are
all
dead
died.
in the
They
first
all
3
died.
minutes.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Except for, what's his name?
I think Nitro Zeus survived.
Nitro Zeus.
I think he's there at the end.
Well, you do know
Is the name
that,
Zeus not
and
cool
it might have
enough?
been Nitro Zeus. That's Bender's voice, or one of them was John DiMaggio. Which
Yeah.
I really could not. I have lost respect for him. Thanks.
Well, and me and him were
Ruined
talking,
it.
Me and Jesse were talking about like
The amount
if
of
the
voice
only
actors?
thing that we can say good about the movie is that the British chick in there was pretty good looking.
Yep.
And so like my two positives about the movie:
Yep.
British chick was really pretty,
Yep.
beautiful, gorgeous lady, and John DiMaggio was in it for a second, and I recognized his voice as Bender. And when I close my eyes, I can imagine Bender saying this.
There were a
that's
few
it.
moments
That's
that
the
were
two.
actually genuinely funny.
Okay, so
but-
you like Cogs, didn't you?
I mean, I laughed
No,
at a couple
I
things.
hated his character, but he made me laugh once or twice. But that's because diegetic sound gags always get me.
Fair enough.
So whenever they're doing that whole Anthony Hopkins telling the story, and then he
This
pulls
epic
out
story.
and he's doing the thing, they're like, "Quit that!" That made me fucking laugh my ass off.
See, and that's okay. That actually
That's a
brings us
weakness to
another
me.
good point. The movie was just completely incoherent. The plot was incoherent. Somehow, though, the score didn't make any damn sense. They had "this is going to be an epic scene" music like every other scene.
Yeah, they try to force and elicit emotion on like every other scene in there by accompanying it with a score or Anthony Hopkins yelling or a little girl who I don't know her name in the beginning crying at some nameless transformer that gets killed.
It was
A
Canopy.
shitload of, Canopy. A shitload
He
of
has
lens
a
flare.
name. It's just we don't care.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like
His name's Canopy.
They
You will
try to
remember
make-
him.
They try to
Yeah.
make every other moment have
antifreeze.
that epic, like John Williams orchestra in the background.
Hey, wait,
feel.
you know what other movie did
And
that?
it was shit.
You know what other movie did that?
Was it as shit as this movie?
It's Suicide Squad.
Oh, I haven't seen that shit movie.
Yeah, actually, this movie
dude,
has a lot of the same things going on.
Suicide Squad should win a fucking Oscar compared to this movie.
It did, didn't it?
Did it?
Did it?
Oh god,
Actually?
that's disgusting.
Yeah, it won one for best makeup. It beat out Star Trek.
I don't want to
Yep.
live on this
That's
planet anymore.
What?
Yeah.
I don't.
Hey, Dire Monkey, would you Google that, please?
Yeah, make
That's some
sure I'm
fucked up
right.
shit.
Yeah, I can't be a part of this
Yeah,
institution any longer.
Yeah, where he's pulling it up right now.
Won one
Yeah,
Oscar.
won one Oscar. Yep.
Oh Jesus!
Best achievement in makeup and
What?
hairstyling.
Because they fucking dyed Harley Quinn's hair two different fucking colors. That's why they
So
win
keep
it?
that in mind. It went up against
Star Trek.
wherein most of the aliens were actually practical
Prosthetic.
effects.
not
Yeah.
CGI.
and
rough.
that's one of the best things about that new Star. I don't like that new Star Trek movie very much, but they had really good makeup and shit.
Good God!
Yeah, Transformers was that literally was a nightmare to watch.
It was.
And I wish, that's what I was saying earlier, I wish that I would have, whenever I fell asleep, that I would have just stayed asleep.
So
I really wish I could have just napped through that movie. I would be feeling better now. I wouldn't have seen the movie. That would make me feel better.
as a kid, I was a big fan of Star Wars. Or not, yeah, I was also a big fan of Star Wars. Why did I go there? Transformers.
Okay.
I was a big fan of Transformers, and I loved the movie, right? The one that had Unicron in it and everything.
Is this an animated movie?
And the Weird
Yes.
Al song.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Old
that's
school
in the
anime
middle
movie.
of it when they're fighting on the junk planet, and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Has a song by Weird Al.
Oh, really?
Dare to be stupid.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
No kidding.
Anyway, so Hot Rod is a main character in all of that.
Oh wait, actually, he is Nitro Zeus and Crosshairs, so he's two of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's just more recognizable in the one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and the same guy that does Squeaks also did Mohawk.
Yeah, I was going to say, and realistically, the amount of voice talent in that movie was amazing. Steve Buscemi is one of the guys. Then they had whoever was the big round, general dude.
There's
And
John Goodman.
Yeah,
John
Goodman.
DiMaggio.
How?
They had a lot of really good voice actors. They had the amount.
Well,
of
that's because they
money,
can throw just gobs of money at it.
And like I said, it literally is like when you're talking about the cigar, and you're like, why does he transforming the cigar? Why is the cigar even exist?
Yeah.
Like
Rule of cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly one.
Every single trope you can think of,
Yep.
they put it in there.
Yep.
They're like, hey, junk man that everybody hates who talks
this
like a
test
gypsy.
well? Yep.
Okay, let's put him in. A little girl. Yep, put the little girl in there.
Now, Jareth, you had a thought on the little girl though.
I'm willing to bet that she's going to be our hero leading
that
forward.
we're following.
Because I think that there is really good chance that Mark Wahlberg's out.
We'll
after
never,
this.
ever do a Transformers again.
I
And
mean,
then
be his
he
best
did this.
They also kind of telegraph that
Right.
at the end. He's regained his status most likely as
He
not
texts his
kill
daughter.
on sight.
Right, right.
And
He's
then
got a
he's
girlfriend.
like, "Hey,
Right.
you
A
want to go bang it out
respectable
after
girlfriend.
this?"
Let's go.
she
business time.
She plays polo. She plays polo.
She falls off of a horse and
and just dusts
gets
it off
up
like it's
'cause,
nothing.
Yeah. She's
because
respectable.
feminism.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
and
But that's fine. But
every trope in that movie when they first
they had all
meet-
of it. They have
like,
all
when
of them.
they first meet, the dialogue between them is like, "Please, just cut my throat."
yeah.
God.
Okay. So then, so I had to backpedal all the way up to the first movie, and they had. I'm wanting to say it was Jax. The
Hold on, there
What?
were 4 people
story by.
who wrote the story for this.
It's there's 4
It
people.
took
It's story
4.
by. It says story by and story by and story by and
Is that
story
why?
by.
Did they each get like a subplot? Is that why it
Probably.
was so
There
incoherent?
are
A lot of-
3 screenplays and 4
A
story
lot
buys.
of people often go into writing the story for a film. It just shocks me that this film took more than one.
One, yeah.
I could storyboard this in like 20 minutes.
My daughter could storyboard this fucking train
Okay,
wreck.
so we've got this thing going on. Fucking Cybertron's coming. Quintessa's a bitch.
Yep.
Controls fucking Optimus Prime. Cool.
She's the deceiver.
So
She's the devil analog.
all right.
I
so
love that one too.
Yeah.
Like,
So
the deceiver.
Optimus Prime gets the red mark down the side of his face.
right.
Yep.
His
And-
bitch
and-
slapped.
And
But-
that's like the giveaway that he's
evil.
the bad guy.
But then
and then you look at
Megatron
Megatron and he's got the same thing.
Right, which makes me wonder because then he has the whole little dialogue, the Hamlet dialogue with
Yep.
Starscream's head.
Yup.
Which
With
makes me
Starscream,
wonder-
he's dead. I love
Right,
that.
right.
Starscream was the best.
Starscream.
Which, why is Starscream dead when everyone else can come back to fucking life?
Well,
Because
because
it's
you know,
Starscream and
Bumblebee's got those
it's
fucking
Stars-
magnetic joints. Where
It's
he can just-
Starscream, and you have earned my contempt again. So
Or
What'd you just say?
You
you've
failed
earned
me.
you've earned my
No,
contempt.
what did
again.
you say his name was?
Starscream.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, and you've earned my contempt again.
Oh,
That's-
okay, I got you.
There you go.
I'm following now.
All right.
Failed me yet again,
Starscream.
You've failed me for the last time.
Because
But,
that
like-
was like the thing between Megatron and
It was a
Every
very
end of the-
abusive relationship.
Yeah, he was like, I'm here to do anything and everything for you, sir.
failed me.
And then the first opportunity he gets, he's like, I'll betray you. I'm going to take over. And then he's like, damn, I failed again. Crap.
Yep.
Now you must
I mean,
die.
really, fucking Megatron's being very forgiving.
Very.
Which
It's actually kind of true.
Pretty much the second Megatron leaves the room,
He's like, I'm
Starscream's in
going to
his chair.
destroy him.
That's true. I wonder if Megatron has some sort of like weird Stockholm's thing going on.
But
Like-
it's important to note that every movie Megatron fucking dies.
Yeah.
And every movie he's
At one
back
of them, he's
right
back
at the beginning.
alive.
At,
But
at one of them, they bury him in the San Andreas trench. They just drop him down in the ocean.
Yep.
The Marianas
I agree
Trench.
with
Marianas
you.
Trench.
San Andreas
Yeah, yeah,
Fault.
yeah, yeah. All right.
Falls.
Thank you.
Also, Optimus Prime fucking dies like
Basically every
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal.
I was wondering about the red thing.
I was wondering too. I honestly
Are
think
they going to be like, out, and like again the whole Hamlet thing? Are they going to be like he was being controlled?
maybe.
He can be brought back.
So here's the deal.
Beyond redemption.
One of the things that I was reading on speculates that Megatron is or was at some point in
A
time
former Prime.
a Prime.
right,
Yeah.
which would make sense,
Right.
really, being that
And then-
Optimus calls him brother all the time.
At
and,
one
you
point,
know,
he joins with the Fallen and starts siding with like what's her name, Quintessa. The Deceiver, and then
Yeah.
that's part. So they're all the same species. They're all Autobots.
Or they're all Transformers.
They're all okay. So Autobots are the race.
Well,
I
we
thought
know that there is
Autobots
a
were the
civil
good
war,
guys, though.
and so then it becomes Autobots versus
And
Decepticons.
Right.
So they're all Transformers, just like we're all human.
They don't refer to themselves as. That's not what they refer to themselves as. I don't recall what they. We've only got like 5 minutes remaining in the episode here. I just want to make sure that.
Well, it'd be like I refer to myself as an American before I say human most of the time, because to a human they know I'm a human.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they're going to state their allegiance.
But Autobots and Decepticons, they're not a subspecies of the same race. It's just how they identify.
That's their allegiance
it's like the
in
North
the Civil
versus
War.
the South. Yeah, Autobots versus Decepticons.
One's a Confederate, the other one's a Union.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if anyone that is listening to this is thinking about seeing this movie, my recommendation is don't
do it.
It's so insanely bad.
Oh, God.
Just take your money and wad it up and throw it in, I don't know, a fire.
Throw it at me?
Put it inside of yourself. I don't know. Just
use it to buy some sugar to mainline, or
yeah, because all of those things would be
try
better
heroin?
than watching this movie. Yeah,
at
shoot
this
some
point,
horse, man. Just go to the park, shoot some horse, stand against a tree for 4 hours, see where the night takes you. Like, do any of those things before you see this movie.
It was really bad. You'd be better off just getting a random Uber driver and being like, "Here's money, drive me somewhere."
Yeah,
I don't know.
Do you have a dungeon?
Yeah. Oh God. That's what I'm saying. Every single terrible trope possible.
Jesus,
the worst
so
possible
bad.
trope. She's a strong, intelligent, evolved woman.
But you need a man.
You need a man.
You need a man,
It's
man.
like, what in the hell is going on here? I'm so fucking confused.
Mark Wahlberg was not helpful.
No.
he
very
didn't need to be in the
rarely
movie
is.
at all.
To be fair, though, we had that wonderful trailer that was like, the beginning of the end of the Planet of the Apes, of the War of the Planet of the Apes. And you're like, wow.
Yeah,
What?
Wait. During our, I don't know if
We
it was the
had
same way for
fucking
you.
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
And it was
Oh
like
my God.
Did you guys have that every other one?
Yeah, and it was only a short clip.
second.
So
Where
okay,
they're like,
so
Cloverfield.
It was hilarious.
Only
So I'm
World
sitting
War
here with Jareth and Dunkirk. They did a little clip, and it's like Dunkirk, and then
like,
they
that
do
was
another
really
trailer.
short.
And then we do another trailer. Then the next thing is Dunkirk. Then they do another trailer, and then they do Dunkirk, and then they do another trailer, and then they do the full trailer for
Yeah,
Dunkirk. And I
yeah.
looked at him. I'm like, now watch, Dunkirk. The movie's gonna start now. And you're gonna be like,
surprise, bitches.
April Fool.
I probably now, like with
I would have
hindsight, I
appreciated
would have
that.
been happy.
Yeah, I really would have been.
I'm like, cool. Okay,
Anything
I
would
watched
have been better
Dunkirk.
than
I'm
what
not.
just happened.
Even if that movie was bad, I'd probably be like, oh, okay.
all right, I gotta ask this question. I'm gonna go one at a time. Everybody else, shut your mouth while we go through it. Scale of 1 to 10. Where did you place this movie, Jesse?
Oh God, is 1 good or bad?
1 is bad. 10 is good.
0.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Have you seen Batman vs Superman?
I have.
Where do you put that? I want a baseline. For that.
Maybe like 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it at least tried to do some things and just failed miserably.
Okay.
Where this movie,
So you'd rank this beneath Batman vs Superman with this?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh God, this movie was really bad. The only redeeming qualities were like I chuckled a couple times at some short one-line jokes, and even when I laughed, I felt bad that I was laughing.
Yeah.
Like it was that bad.
All right. Ledge, where are you putting this?
1 star.
1 star.
1 star.
And Batman vs Superman? Because we've all pretty much recognized that that's pretty bad.
And what's hilarious is me and him literally had this
this
exact
talk?
same
Yeah,
conversation
okay.
coming over. It's like, of movies that I've seen in recent years, Batman vs. Superman, I would rank up there as being one of the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Now, that being said, there were still some really cool shit that happened in
Right.
Batman vs. Superman. There were still some, like, the parts that were played by some of the actors were really good. They
Yep.
did a good
Bat
job.
armor.
Yep.
I enjoyed several scenes in that movie, whereas, I mean, obviously, now Batman vs. Superman completely shit all over all the source material.
Right.
And fucked the movie up. But
Bat
regardless,
nipples.
like, Transformers was never from moment one
Right.
interesting, captivating, cohesive,
Coherent.
anything. It was straight just garbage from first second when it's showing a drunk quote unquote Merlin.
Right.
So 1 star Batman vs Superman for me would be 4 stars.
Really? All right, cool. Jareth,
A 1,
1, and Batman vs Superman.
like 1.1,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's like just
maybe.
a notch above.
And that's really dependent on mood, whether that's above it or not.
So okay,
Both of those movies are garbage.
They're all garbage.
And both of them spit in the face of their source material.
I'm hovering pretty strong around Batman vs Superman being at a 2 or a 3, and I'm putting.
You know what? No, here I'm going to say this: Batman v Superman. I'm going to say is worse because it is, for me, the start of a franchise.
Right. And
as a result, it is
the exact same
damaging
thing
to the rest of itself.
I did the same thing. Okay,
this is what I expected.
This is where I'm at, because I do a 2 or 3 for Batman vs. Superman, and I put this at a hard 3, because I'm just like, it's not good. Batman vs. Superman is potentially worse, and it is for that reason right there.
I knew this was going to be a shit sandwich.
Exactly.
So whenever I bit in and I
will
tasted
give you-
shit, I was like, okay, this is
what
what
I
I was
expected.
in for.
I will give you that the start of a franchise. At least this one, there's another good thing. We found the other good thing. This happens to be the end of a franchise.
Right. Well, this iteration.
The end of Michael Bay directing it.
Well,
I mean, here in 5 years, it'll get revamped and they'll start back. And
Well, there's supposed to be a bunch more, aren't there?
Probably.
Yeah.
Michael Bay is set to produce the next 12 or 13.
what I read today was
Not
that
even
this was
kidding.
his last
oh
one.
God.
Producing is
Oh my
not
God.
directing.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh my
Brace
God.
yourself.
The
Producing
lens
doesn't even
flare
necessarily-
is gonna. Oh my God.
Brace
so
yourself.
much lens flare.
Brace yourself. Yeah. So, like I said, and that is, Jarrett, that is precisely why I ranked the way I did, is because I'm just like, well,
Batman v Superman
Batman
could have been good.
It could have been.
And that hurts it way more than it helps it.
Yes,
Whereas this was just awful.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay.
I will give you that it
When you-
probably
when you
might
walk
need a
in-
reconsideration because that is the start of the franchise.
When you're
and-
walking into a turd sandwich and you get a turd sandwich, you're like, well,
I would rather miss a shot by a mile than by an inch.
Yeah.
Batman v Superman missed by an inch, and as a result, it fucked itself super hard.
Yeah.
See, I just
This
view it on a movie
was like
movie.
way.
No, see this.
Even if
this,
we're just
this
talking
didn't even
about
aim at the
movie
target.
by movie.
This didn't even aim at the target. It just shot the ground in front of him. It was like, that's what I set out to do.
This is like saying you were going to go shoot a gun and really you just popped a fucking balloon.
Well, and here's like one of those things. Like, if my daughter, like, if for some reason, or even not take her out of the equation, if for 1 week I had to choose one of those two movies, and that is all I could watch anytime I turned on my TV, and of course, saying that something actually forced me to spend X amount of time a day watching TV, I would pick Batman v Superman any day over this fucking.
Actually,
shit.
I would pick this because it's mindless enough that I can just drown it out so easy.
And
I
I
could
will
grant
say
that.
one other thing I guess that I find to be maybe slightly disturbing about this whole thing is I feel as though, the whole DC reboot is aimed at an older audience. It's aimed at people,
Very much so.
late teens,
Right.
early adults into whatever the fuck age you want to go see.
Right.
Transformers, while being mature subject matter, I feel like is marketed to children.
Yeah.
I would never
But at the
take
same
my kid
time-
to see this fucking movie.
But at the same time, aimed at everybody.
It's early
Right.
teen. It's aimed mostly at
At teens.
like young teens.
13,
Yes.
14,
Yeah.
15,
Yeah.
right around there.
So
It's
we've
just-
only
it's
got
so
like
bad.
a few minutes, if anything, left as of right now. Dire Monkey, how are we sitting right here?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. All right.
Can-
so
can we get a
before,
drone carrying a Bud
before
Light
before
straight
we
into
yeah.
frame?
So before we get to the very end of it, I want to bring up something because you didn't get to show up for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and after
okay.
you and I
Yes.
after you and I had a discussion in the parking lot, I promptly
Right.
went home and discussed with him, and I want to hear what your guys' thoughts
Oh,
are.
I know what this is.
All right, so you know the
Yeah,
moment.
buddy.
I
you
know what's coming.
The moment where the guy's drifting out
Yes.
of. Okay, yeah, go.
I know what's coming.
They have the guy floating out of the back end of the spaceship, and they got the drool coming off,
Right.
and it's freezing,
and,
right?
and it freezes.
And that, why do you have a complaint
And
with that?
That really bothers me because, and this has been talked about. There are multiple astronauts, people who are test pilots, people who've gone to the
Pressure
edges of
determines
spaces.
boiling point.
Right, absolutely. And so the spit coming out of his mouth, unless there was a really large volume, i.e. there was enough volume to facilitate pressure to hold the liquid together in order for it to freeze, which the dude's mouth is not a fucking swimming pool. All right?
You don't know that.
Like, did he fucking swallow a bottle of lube before they shot him out the fucking airlock? God damn.
You don't know that.
He was backstage slurping lube all day. God. But yeah, the thing is that, a lot of people who have been to space, which is something that I would love to be able to do, and I probably will never get to take my chubby self to space, they talk about that it's terrifying that when you start to lose pressure, you can feel your fluids bubbling. On your eye. You were talking about that. I forget what the guy's name was, but the guy who was the test pilot who did the testing for basically the pressure suits in the 60s when they were first figuring out, Jaeger, yeah. He has Chuck a video Yeager. Where he passed out from loss of pressure, and he's like, the scariest thing was that I could feel my spit boiling in my mouth. And to me, the idea of your fluid boiling off of your body is way more fucking terrifying than, your spit froze into an icicle.
Right.
But that's also way more gruesome.
True. I addressed that. I brought this same thing home, and I was like, hey, Jesse brought up a really cool point. This is what it was. And you had a thought about the ship and why it could have been that way.
Okay. So, it's clear that those ships are designed in a way that ours aren't. In about a million ways. But, first we've got the way it generates its gravity. Then the way that it's dealing with everything else around it in space. Because one of the most terrifying things about space is micrometeoroids. You need to be protected from that shit, all the time. It's like hyper bullets, just flying around doing hyper bullet bullshit.
While that is true, understand that we have a thing called the International Space Station that more or less falls around the planet all of the time.
It is technically within our atmosphere, though.
True, but there is still a lot of space garbage, amazingly enough, out there, which, you can call it micromatter, you can call it whatever the fuck you want. And true, a grain of sand could pierce, through, and I don't know what the math is right now on this, right. But it can pierce through stuff. It will mess things up.
Right.
At the same time, and this is one of those weird things where I used to get into arguments with friends about movies where it's like, suspend your disbelief, because here I am like, well, why do the ships have fucking rockets? Let's be realistic. If you're in space, you're not using a rocket because fuel propulsion is not really feasible given distances that you're going to travel. So, okay, well, let's say it's particle accelerators, and they just shape them to look like rockets because it makes you fucking feel better. And you're like, okay, fine. So then it's particle accelerators, and that's how they're fucking moving through space. Well, what kind of power are they generating? Well, are they using electricity? Are they using, something fucking nuclear? Or are they, harnessing the fucking radiation from the stars?
The point I was getting at was that it's clear that throughout the film they're using some sort of shielding outside of the ship other than the hull. Because of the amount of damage that any given object can take, and the fact that they're regularly traveling faster than the speed of light.
Right, and what I'm getting at is that for you to try and produce a field that extends past the hull of your ship in any kind of fucking form is absolutely unfeasible. Why in the fuck are you trying to manipulate the space around your ship when all you need to do is make sure that things aren't piercing through your hull?
Because
the most dynamic thing
if
you
you're using these ships
around the hull.
But if you're using these ships down planet side, then you need to have the same type of protection from the things or the things outside of you because of your propulsion as well as within your ships.
Right, and it would still make more sense, though, to generate the field or whatever it is on the hull of your ship, at least from how we understand physics.
True.
Now, if you're going to go ahead and say, oh, well, their physics are fucking different, fine, then, whatever, monkeys fly out of my asshole and spit freezes, fuck it.
So, it's just that we were having this discussion. I was like, this is kind of fascinating. Man, I really wish Jessie was there and that we could have had a little bit of this, because I think it'd be kind of cool to have some of that same discussion.
I think it's Alcubierre's bubble. It's a theory for how faster-than-light travel would be possible. And
using
it is
gravitational field.
Yeah, using a gravitational field.
And how do you generate gravitational field? Through magnetism. And so you use magnetism and essentially you're bending rays. And so what to do mathematically is use calculus and figure out how big of a bubble you need to make to encapsulate just that ship so that you can have gravity in front of you and gravity behind you, and it's pushing you in whatever direction you want to go.
But gravity generates gravity and could potentially pull in an amount of pressure to create a small atmosphere around the object.
I mean,
especially after
you're going to dilate space a little bit, but again, you're using so much power. Okay.
Yep.
The problem
power isn't an object here.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Is that no matter what you're doing, because if you're saying power isn't an object, then physics don't fucking count, and then fine, everything's out the window and it doesn't matter. But
I mean, everything is kind of out the window, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because
That's
what I'm saying. Like, so then if you're at that point, then who gives a shit? Why talk about it at all?
Right.
But if the reality is you're like trying to justify it in some sort of a way, you require power to do things. Period. That is existence in every fucking reality, in all mutant realities, in every fucking.
My point wasn't that power is irrelevant, but we're dealing with civilizations that have means of generating power that are far beyond our own.
The little batteries that they have in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they have 4 or 5 of them that they use to amplify the explosion.
Right.
So, clearly they have means of taking small things and creating a wealth of energy that can potentially blow up a planet. So if you have something of that nature fueling your ship, then you have a source of energy that would be able to.
Technology, as you become more advanced, a big part of that is precision.
Right.
You can do things more precisely. You can manipulate things more precisely. So to say, well, they're so totally technologically advanced, but in this one area they just said, fuck it, let it all fly out.
Perhaps. So like I said, part of this I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it would be a kind of a fun conversation for a few minutes here.
To clarify, I do agree with you.
He does. He was like, hey.
I'm like, well, and that's because, look, really the gruesome part of it is they do this for dramatic effect.
Right.
And I'm like, look, if you want to do something for fucking dramatic effect,
show the eyes bubbling.
Show how goddamn gruesome it really is, because it's fucking terrifying.
Well, they've got a ladder. They want it to be dramatic.
That's what I said. They
want it to be dramatic, but not traumatic.
They've got children watching these movies. They don't want to show eyes boiling out of their skull. Yeah,
but showing a close up of his mouth and a bubble popping.
That'd be
Would for a kid they would. Yeah. Probably just think of him suffocating or something.
Yeah.
Whereas for you as an adult to later on find out that he's fucking boiling inside is
much like we find in Transformers. This is the last point we'll get to here, and much like with this, they movies go to tropes that the general populace are like, yeah, that's true. That's true. You'd freeze in space. That's true. So anyhow, end of the episode. Ledge, thanks for being on with me.
You were very welcome, good sir.
Jesse, have you get back in again.
It was a good time.
I hope you had fun. Jareth?
Fuck you.
Yeah. All right. So get over and check out Flick Freaks at basically everything /Flick Freaks.
Yep.
And then you need to get over and check out Spellbook Studios. Hey, Dire Monkey.
Yo.
What do you got going on over here?
We are getting ready to launch a new build version of the Infinite Black, something our players have been asking for years. We are going to do it. You are going to love it. If not, bite me.
Fine, yeah.
I love it.
All right, boys and girls, this has been us from Spellbook Studios recording, and we will see you guys in the next Spoilercast. Bye.
Peace.
I love turtles.